everybody, and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here. And with the community stream coming up, there's a possibility that the devs may announce what the next licensed chapter for DBD is. Now, the community stream today is supposed to go over the next mid-chapter contents with the PTB, and the next licensed chapter has been pushed back for quality of life initiatives to be released in January. It was really originally scheduled to come out in November, but it's been pushed back to January. But that doesn't mean that they won't announce what it is on the community stream to wet our whistle in anticipation of this next chapter that's coming out. So I just wanted to get my thoughts on video about my theories for what it would be. So we're going to talk about that here today. So back in May, when they had this PAX East broadcast and they showed us the roadmap for the year, and we saw that this November chapter was slated to be released with a killer and 2 survivors, and they told us that it was a big chapter. I was convinced that it was Stranger Things from the moment I saw that. I don't have any like in-game evidence or anything to suggest that that's what it is. It could still be that. I do have a few things from the conversations that we've had with Matthew Cote over the years through the King's interviews, where he told us last year that he had recently rewatched the entire Stranger Things series, and this year he told us that whatever this licensed chapter is, it's something that he was a fan of, and I forget how he worded it, but he had like voraciously consumed all everything connected to the license, something like that. So knowing the last year he said he had rewatched the entire series, that made me think it was Stranger Things. And Matthew's also told us that they connect with their licensors and that they ask them, when they have things coming up so that they could partner with one another. Obviously, the Stranger Things finale is coming up, and even the date of the chapter being pushed back seemed like it would coincide with Stranger Things too, because Stranger Things release date itself was pushed back, and I thought, okay, well, they're pushing it back to coincide with Stranger Things finale being pushed back in case that there's any content like add-ons for the killer that might be spoilers, cosmetics, and ultimately I just thought, why would you get this Stranger Things license back and not do anything else with it? And this would be like a now or never time to do it with the Stranger Things finale, when it would be at its crescendo, the peak of interest in the property again. This would be the time you would want to release a chapter. This would be the time you'd want to release more characters, more cosmetics, etc. So this idea made the most sense to me as a now or never. Let's, start using the Stranger Things license again. This is peak Stranger Things time coming up, and that's why it made the most sense to me. And I've been convinced since May that that's what the licensed chapter slated for November, now coming out in January, is. Now, having laid out that very logical argument in my mind, since May, my friend Jane has been putting little bugs in my ear here and there about, well, what if it's this? Look at this, look at this, look at this, with all of this in-game, quote-unquote, evidence that it could be something very different. And, I started out as, and then I was like, as the things started to stack up, it made me really give a lot of consideration to the idea that she was pitching to me, that it could be a very different license. So we're going to explore the things I have to show you in game, and you can make up your own mind. You let me know when I have your attention over all the things that are in game that the next chapter could be Predator. Let me show you. So sometimes there's just things that are coincidental, and sometimes I believe that there are absolutely things in game that we don't realize have pointed towards future chapters until afterwards. So for example, the Greenville Square movie theater saying the Ghoul's Lament, is that a clue to Tokyo Ghoul chapter coming? I think so. Some people think it's a coincidence. I don't really think there are coincidences when it comes to things like that. And it was pointed out to me yesterday that we may have entirely missed a clue about the Krasu when you look at this popcorn machine here, it's filled with intestines. It's been on Greenville Square forever. And well, what does the Crossu do? Her body pops open and reveals a bunch of intestines. Is this a clue for the Crossu that nobody knew? I think it's possible. Like, who's thinking about intestines in popcorn machines? I think this may have been a clue right in front of our faces and we never realized it. Okay, first logical point would be the ownership of the property. Both Alien and the Predator are owned by Disney, which owns 20th Century Fox. It makes sense that if you already have a working relationship with Disney for the one, that you could easily get the other. And I would point out that one of the cosmetics for Xenomorph the Alien is what they call the Grid Xenomorph, sometimes called Gritty. And this is actually from the movie Aliens versus Predator, in which I believe it's the Celtic Yauta. The Predators are called the Yauta. Uses a net on the alien and it cuts into their skin, revealing their green blood, the green acidic blood. And that's why this Xenomorph has that grid pattern on it. Now, you may say, well, whatever, this is just a cosmetic for the alien. It doesn't have anything to do with Predator. Again, let me know in the comments when I have your attention. Okay, so here we are in the arcade in the Greenville Square. And here is a particular note to me. It looks very similar to the movie poster for Predator. You can see on the bottom right here, the face is torn off for the character who would be Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator. The one on the left is a little confusing. At first I thought this was Billy from Predator, but then I look closer and I see there's this voluminous blonde hair around the shoulders. Apparently this is a female, so I don't have an answer for that. The jawline looks very similar to Billy for sure from the original Predator movie, but there can be no doubt that this poster has wide similarities to the original movie poster for the Predator film. And I'll also point out that this poster has been there from the very beginning. I went back and looked at one of my clips where I throw down the pallet to make the pinball machine make noise. And this has been here from the beginning of the map. Also note that the community stream, the background for the advertisement for it, shows the pinball machines from this arcade on the image advertising the community stream. Anyway, we'll come back to this poster at the end. Okay, next I'm going to take you into another arcade, this time the Freddy Fazbear's arcade. And this arcade has a video game in it that's called Skull Mission 2. We'll get you a better look at the side panels of this. But who goes on skull missions? The Predators. They collect the skulls of their defeated enemies as trophies, so they definitely go on what would be considered skull missions. And on that note, if we go out here on this side, this is something that was added recently. Go away, Survivor. This is something that was added recently. This claw machine, the Skull Mission 2 arcade game was there once this map released. This, however, was not. This was released later as a claw machine, and the prize in the claw machine is a skull. Again, the Yucha, the Predators, collect skulls. So the next bit is the theory that the unknown, this character here, has been telling us what the upcoming chapters are all along, and we just weren't listening. This is a theory probably most well documented by Asimov's, taking the clips of the voice lines of the unknown and tying them to chapters that we got. For example, the line from the unknown saying, "I lived in dungeons long forgotten," makes sense in tying in the Forgotten Realms chapter of Dead by Daylight for Dungeons and Dragons with Vecna, right? Then we had another quote here that could be tied to Lara Croft saying, "I prepare for the expedition," something that Lara Croft would say. That makes sense too. Then there was the famous line of "Have you seen my dog?" tied in to the Houndmaster. You get the idea. And the hunger one for the Tokyo Ghoul. Hunger, intolerable hunger for Tokyo Ghoul. So all of these voice lines can be tied in to these different chapters, right? So there's one particular voice line that the unknown delivers. Do you want some candy? Which ties into the Predator 2 movie, where the child somehow can detect the Yautja predator in cloak mode and offers the predator some candy.
Want some candy?
You want some candy?
You can even make the argument that the Entombment rift with all of the skull and bone themes was a teaser for Predator, in the same way that the toy-related theme was a teaser for Chucky. Might be one of the larger stretches here, but it's something. Now, the next bit comes from this interview, which is in French, from Tess de Ganon Benge. And Matthew talks about Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator in it. I'll translate it for you here. It says, Matthew says that survivors don't need to be strictly horror, but they do have to be relatable people that can be beaten up by the killers. He says that they tend to not do pure heroic characters like Dutch from Predator, for example, since they want people that have weaknesses and strengths that can endure insurmountable trials and not be heroes. Now, that was a very curious statement to me. It seemed that either perhaps he was preparing us for a Predator chapter without Dutch, or, I don't know, a red herring to throw us off the scent of Predator altogether. I'm not sure who you would put in a Predator chapter if not Dutch. Predator without Dutch is like Aliens without Ripley, if you ask me. And plus, this chapter is supposed to have two survivors. Who would your two survivors be from the Predator franchise? Would it be Dutch and Harrigan, Dutch and Billy? Or are we looking towards, is this what Matthew is preparing us for, that the Predator version would be the Prey version and we would get Naru and Tabe from the Prey movie? So I think Prey is actually getting a theatrical release now after having been on Hulu, Disney Plus, whatever. I think they're putting it back in the theater. So was this Matthew's way of preparing us for a Predator chapter without Dutch and instead having Naru and Tabe and be the Prey version with possibly some legendaries of Predator with different Yautja from different movies, different outfits there, or what? Touching back on the theory that Dead by Daylight works with properties that have things coming up, we know that in November, Predator has a new movie called The Badlands, and they just recently released this animated film called Predator Killer of Killers, in which at the very end, spoiler alert, Dutch, Harrigan, and Naru all make appearances in stasis chambers here. So I don't know if we could get Dutch or not. Maybe things have changed. This Arnold wasn't in the first cut of this film. This was an added scene later. So, one last bit about Dutch. If the Krasue infects you into Leech 2 and you escape with the second stage of the leeching on you, you get a scoring event in the game that is, it's not a tumor, which is a line that Arnold Schwarzenegger delivers in the movie Kindergarten Cop. I don't know. Very random. Telling of the arrival of Arnold Schwarzenegger to the game? Not sure. One other note about Billy from the original Predator, the director of Prey is on the record as having said that Billy is a reincarnated version of Naru's brother Tabe from the Prey movie, that he is Tabe reincarnated. So I don't know. Could we get Naru, Tabe, Billy, Dutch, Harrigan? Really don't know. But all we know is they said that whatever is coming is a big franchise. I think Predator qualifies for that. And it would also make for a very fun 2v8 in a Predator versus Aliens themed 2v8, wouldn't you say? Okay, and the last thing I want to show you is the Haunted by Daylight trailer that Dead by Daylight released. And well, looky here, lo and behold, at the very beginning, some of the very first frames of this video, what do we see all the way here on the left? Well, that's a familiar looking poster, isn't it? I remember when I initially saw this, I thought this had to do with the grimoire, but that is the poster from the Greenville Square Arcade. Why should that poster be in here unless it has some meaning? I think that this is the linchpin that ties it all together. Everything else is related to Axe Kick and Crossu. This poster is out of place, right? The stuff in the background is related to the Sinister Grace chapter with V and Crossu. That poster is out of place. Or is it? Why is that included in here? To me, that is the biggest piece of evidence because this directly emulates the Predator movie poster and it's in this video and they're telling us that's what the next chapter is going to be right in plain sight. Do I have your attention now? All right, that's all I have for you today. The community stream will come out today. I don't know if they're going to announce the next chapter or not, but I did want to get all my thoughts out there prior to that stream. We'll see. It could still be the Stranger Things chapter. I really don't know at all. We'll find out together, but I think that there's much more evidence that I can see anyway that points towards a Predator chapter, but we'll see. Whatever it is, it's going to come out in January. Will we know what it is before that? Not sure. That's all I have for today. As always, thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate the time that you spend here with me on my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel a ton. And don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.